We're going to do something a little bit different this week. We want to encourage you, the Blue Collar Nation, Eric Sprague, the Tech Whisperer, and Larry Pineapple Man Wilberton invited myself and Gerrett Stier onto their podcast.
John, you want to go first?
I was just
joking. I'm going to go.
It was a podcast summit. We're working on some things to collaborate together. Eric, Larry, and Gerrett will be together in Vegas for the experience. They're going to be further testing Gerrett's launch of the mobile podcast studio that he took to the experience in Charleston earlier this year.
At least, actually, I sent him a DoorDash just to get him away from the podcast. Jeez. I mean, the guy's dragging us down. Every day is a struggle. Quit the bitch, you can give up or you can get lifted.
We had such a good time and a fun time and a good conversation. I'm going to share some clips, but I want to encourage everyone to go over to the Blue Collar Nation, listen to what they released, the full release, and we'll tease a few things.
We have a system, that is true, but we don't edit. No editing.
What would you say you do here?
The first thing I want to clear up and get a real consensus from the people. I want to hear from the people. This is me talking to the people. I need to hear from you. Which podcast intro is the best? Which one is the best? And upon which metrics do you grade? Is your grading system based upon in assessing said values in these introductions?
I've never said I was perfect.
Well,
well, actually, I might have a couple times, but
I've been on Gerrett's podcast too, and he just edits all the boring parts out, which is basically me talking. So it's just a long episode of Gerrett talking to himself.
And a 12-minute podcast with Gerrett's monologue.
Yeah. Hi, John. Welcome to the show. Thanks for having you. Bye.
Coming to you, hitting you. You're going to catch these hands and you're going to catch these intros. Let's hear the Blue Collar Nation podcast introduction.
Welcome to the Blue Collar Nation Podcast, the podcast dedicated to making the lives of blue-collar business owners better. Before we start the show, may we ask you for a quick favor? Eric and Larry work very hard at delivering the best free content possible. Please help them out by going to iTunes and subscribing, and please leave them a 5-star review. Also, feel free to share the podcast with your friends and peers. Now, on to the show.
That's a real competitor for top 3 out of this poll of 3. I mean, they get right to the point. They got some music. It's not too loud, not too crazy. Lovely voice introducing it. I'm glad they didn't use Larry's voice or Eric's for that matter. And then they tell you who they are, what they're about. Very succinct. These guys are pros. They also tell you who they're targeting. Pros. If you're starting a friggin' podcast, take a note from these guys. They're broadly based. It opens them up, skilled trades, to interview lots of very interesting people. They know how to get down to it. They know how to have a good time. These are some winners.
Well, hello, everybody. This is Larry from the Blue Collar Nation, and I'm here with my tech whispering business partner, Mr. Eric Sprague. And we have a great show set up for you folks. We have very funny antics, and it's happening already, and I'm looking forward to it totally.
Drum roll, please. Prepare yourselves for the GMS Podcast introduction.
Welcome to the GMS Podcast, brought to you by GMS Distribution. GMS specializes in temporary portable power distribution equipment for the restoration contractor. I am your host and owner of GMS, Gerrett Stier, and today I will be talking to my friends. Hey, there we go. We are recording.
How do you compete with that? Great music, Gerrett. I will say, I think we all say it throughout the podcast. Probably hands down best sound, but he's also invested the most in his sound equipment, so makes sense. But almost like a Mortal Kombat vibe, but chiller. And then again, promotes his product, gets right into it, is always excited and very genuine. I think, you as the listener, having to choose between GMS opening and the BCN opening, good luck. GMS or BCN?
Today, I will be talking to my friends. Hey, there we go. We are recording. Hey, there we go. We are recording. Hey, there we go. We are recording.
I almost don't want to say it. Last but not least, here's the introduction for, I guess, what they call the DYOJO Podcast. Ugh. Wait, there's humans that work at Xactware? Coming to us from the illustrious basement studios.
Oh, dang.
In an undisclosed location just outside of Salt Lake City, Utah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, will you teach me how to learn Xactimate?
You're about to hear. We're kicking off a series. We uncovered. Kicking off a series. Xactimate Sessions. What do you even call that eclectic mess? An intro? More like a get outro of here, and don't you come back.
I wish you'd get out of my life and shut up. Go eat a decrepit piece of crap.
Again, this is going to be a little bit different. This was a restoration podcast summit. You got the Blue Collar Nation guys. You got GMS Podcast. You got the DYOJO Podcast.
That were really, really boring.
So before we get into that, I want to share a little bit with you about an event we're doing in September. Many of our friends in restoration are involved. If you were to go to thedyojo.com/do good, you would see that it is time for the DYOJO Socktember 2021. But I want to tell you about, there are resources there. We got a press release, team captain info sheet, a flyer, a how to win, tease for success. But this year, there's still some time. We're in the preseason. We're in August, where teams form in local communities to raise new socks by reaching out to clients, vendors, friends, and community partners. If you still want to lead or join a local team, let us know. In September, the season, which is coming up, teams are going to be collecting new socks. We have a weekly count of new socks raised by all teams, keeping with the competitive spirit. I'm excited. We're adding a postseason. October, we'll perform a final count of new socks raised. And this year, we plan to announce the winner at a live local event in Tukwila, Washington on Friday, October 2021. Local teams will then distribute new socks to local charities that they want to support. So currently we have Sisters for Socks, Lindsay Ward, and the content specialist in Seattle, Washington. Sock agents, Kelsey Isaacson, home with Kelsey Isaacson out of Puyallup, Washington. Sock heirs, John Isaacson, Aries Restoration out of Graham, Washington. Groovy Tube Socks, V. Gordy Powell, Georgia Clean out of Atlanta, Georgia. Culture Sock, our good friend Elon Posmatic with Born to Repair out of San Diego, California. New England No Shows, Brandy Hawthorne, Office Services by Brandy out of Alton Bay, New Hampshire. Aries Restoration is a sponsor this year. So if you want to join a team, if you want to start a team, lead a team, if you'd like to sponsor the event or share about it, please do so. Check out the website and check out this little video. What is a Socktember?
Socktember is coming.
What is Socktember? Socktember. Socktember.
I am assisting you with your sock change.
Last year, in the midst of the shutdowns, we were trying to figure out ways that we could reach out to our clients, our industry peers, vendors, friends.
I'm super excited. Coming up is Socktember in September. We're going to raise socks for people in need.
How can we do client outreach in the midst of a shutdown? How can we increase employee engagement? How can we develop some community goodwill?
We can't have anyone freak out there, okay?
And so we came up with Socktember.
We've got to keep our composure.
The month of September is now Socktember, where we raise new socks in a competitive way.
I have a competition in me.
So last year we had four amazing teams that raised over 5,500 socks.
We're here live at the content specialist of Washington.
We wanted a March Madness feel where people were competing in positive ways, keeping tallies of how many socks we're raising throughout the week, because someone is going to be a winner.
And to announce the winner!
Why is it important to win Socktember? Number one, you raise a whole lot of friggin' new socks for local charities that are important to you. Number two, you can brag with your industry peers and rub it in their face that you raised way more new socks than they did.
The 2020 Socktember Award winners.
And you can hoist the trophy, the Socktember annual trophy. And last year, Sisters for Socks had an amazing team. So what did they do that made them successful?
We've got too far!
Number one, they were competitive.
There's too much to lose!
Number two, they got a bunch of sisters for socks, raising new socks.
Keep our composure!
They were energized by the idea. They used it as an excuse for client outreach. Hey, we're raising new socks.
Socktember is coming.
Whether you can only donate a pack of socks, or we had people shipping in boxes of socks. Get your community involved, network with your people, reach out to people maybe you haven't had a good reason to reach out to. If you start a team,
I have a competition in me.
And you gather people that help you, our organization promotes you, you promote your team, it's a win-win-win-win. And then you donate those socks stay in your community. They go to charities that are important to you and your team members.
I am assisting you with your sock change.
Currently, we've got teams in Seattle, Puyallup, Graham, Atlanta, San Diego, Tacoma, and Alton Bay, New Hampshire. So
Hope everybody's just as excited as I am.
we're growing. The team's growing. It's a great opportunity for you and your team to get involved.
We're going to need those socks. Well, maybe you don't, but there are people that do. So
Be competitive, have some fun, do some good in your community.
get those socks. We're coming for you.
So if you have any more questions, we have a press release that's available on the website.
Join and help us click socks.
The kickoff video.
Socktember is coming.
There is a team captain info sheet on the website as well.
We've got to keep our composure!
Join us, raise some socks, get out there, get after it.
I have a competition in me.
Let's do some good. Socktember, Socktember, Socktember.
So how are you, Eric, today before we introduce our fun guests?
I don't know if anybody's gonna like this podcast except for us. We're gonna have a good time.
We're gonna be taking pictures the whole time that we're going along. It's gonna be just great.
We're really, really boring.
No,
You know what I mean? Like
fall
the
asleep to. 'Cause
content
you could
and the
play them at
guest-
night and you could just pass out.
Well, say it to Gerrett's face. I mean,
Jesus. Yeah, it was just
this is actually, Gerrett, this is an intervention. We're all really concerned that,
we're not actually podcasting, Gerrett. It's just to get
John's obviously been reading my reviews. Yeah.
No, I'm excited about today. It's good. We've got the 3 podcast summit going on.
Yes.
Excited about this. Excited about this. Excited about this.
So anyway, let's get to our guests. Speaking of John and Gerrett, we're very excited today.
Excited about this. Excited about this. Excited about this.
Gerrett has an amazing podcast, the GMS Podcast, and he is the owner
it's not that great.
We're going to get to you in a minute, John.
It's really pretty pathetic.
Oh, boy.
Man, you are one pathetic loser. No offense.
It's way better than the GMS Podcast.
I did want to add, I've read John's books, and you can find those at any discount bookstore all over.
The author of Be Intentional Culture, Be Intentional Estimating.
They're real popular in Goodwill.
Nope, it's a very good book. I've read it as well. The Intentional Estimator, which I've gifted a couple times as well to help new guys in the business, and it's very helpful. So it's wonderful to have you guys today. This is going to be cool. We're going to have some fun.
I didn't realize Gerrett was here.
You didn't think he was going to come?
John's upset that Gerrett got invited.
A little bit of competition.
I'll be quiet. I won't say anything.
That's probably for the best. Well, you guys are up on 2 years, right? You just celebrated
2 years last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, congratulations, guys.
Oh, thanks.
We're there.
I don't think people realize how much work this is. Like, and the funny thing is that Larry and I don't even do it like you guys do it. You guys put way more effort into it than we do, I think.
I don't know. I've never sent anyone an outline ever. So.
Oh, see, there you go. So we do something a little.
Who
knows if it's better?
You guys are.
We have a system that is true, but we don't edit. No editing.
No, that's why we're going to have you distribute the podcast, Gerrett, because you have good judgment when editing.
I'll clean it up.
You take out Eric's comments that are completely inappropriate.
That is true. That's exactly what I do.
I've never said I was perfect.
Well,
well, actually, I might have a couple times, but
I've been on Gerrett's podcast too, and he just edits all the boring parts out, which is basically me talking. So it's just a long episode of Gerrett talking to himself.
Like a 12-minute podcast with Gerrett's monologue.
Yeah. Hi, John. Welcome to the show. Thanks for having you. Bye.
Too funny. So going back to our outline, Mr. Sprague, what do we got going on here today? Why don't you take a host and take control of this situation?
All right, I will. Well, guys, thanks so much for coming on. I just thought it'd be fun to get the 3 podcasts on the same show at the same time. And John, I want to talk about your podcast for a second, because you obviously spend a ton of time doing edits and all of that. Like you're the antithesis of Larry and I, who are like the kings of no edits, dude. That's the rule. You know, I mean, we might take an F-bomb out once in a while, but other than that, not much.
Eric probably said
Gerrett does. Yeah, Gerrett takes him out.
Oh, Eric 100% said it. So, you know, how long does that take you? I mean, because it looks, or hears, I watch them too, you know, it's like, it looks like a lot of work. Like a lot of work.
So from you guys, I learned to try to industry specific, but also talk about broad topics, right? And then Gerrett, honestly, Gerrett, I started, it was like 3 questions with the pro. It was so I think we've talked about my comfort area is writing. I enjoy writing, you know, whether it's any good or not, I enjoy doing it. And Michelle Blevins and a friend of mine, Greg Power, who was just on the podcast, they encouraged me, if you create videos, it might help draw people to the written content, right? Or help convey the principles in another way. And so when COVID hit, I started doing 3 questions with a pro and reached out to kind of people that I didn't feel other people were reaching out to in relationship to that topic. And then and they were like 30 minutes or whatever. And I reached out to Gerrett and I was like, how do you make your podcast? And he was like, I throw it on Anchor. So I could take the video file, dump it into Anchor. It distributes directly to Spotify. Then I linked it with iTunes and a couple others. And so, Gerrett really did help, get that launched. And you said you're the antithesis with editing. I'm the antithesis of Gerrett. I'm like, what's the cheapest thing I can buy that gets me across the finish line until, it becomes a barrier. And so, I have been working on trying to get the sound a lot more consistent. Some of the feedback I get, the clips come in, they're way louder than trying to work on that. But editing does take a crap ton of time.
So
that's what last season.
How much is a crap ton?
It's slightly more than a shit ton.
Some of you know that following restoration, the Restoration Industry Association Convention 2021 down in Orlando, Florida, following that, I did a road trip with Pete Consigli, the global watchdog. Couple of dapper guys just freshening up before fancy dinner. What are you rolling with, Pete?
This is Pignot. This is an old classic old Clubman. And actually, let me show you. This is all the old school barbershops. They have the powder.
Clubman aftershave lotion.
The Pignot, but the powder, that's what the barbershops use for years. It's a gentleman's talcum powder, and they use it, the back of the neck and everything. It's fabulous. I love the scent. They have a wide range of stuff. It's real good.
That's how you get all the ladies, Pete?
I don't know about that. Don't you get me in trouble here now. No.
If you're not sure who he is, you can look back on our podcast. We released him this year as a mystery guest. He's a regular contributor to IAQ Radio. He's like Restoration Google. And when I read, Michelle Blevins has an article in Restoration Remediation magazine that kicked off my search for people and elements in history.
Global Restoration Watchdog Pete Consigli here. And we're in the tail end of our post-RAA 75th Diamond Anniversary Convention in Orlando.
But Pete, in Cleaning and Restoration magazine, which we're going to talk about the exciting news about CNR magazine. Okay. You're next, DYOJO.
That's not lined up at all.
This is the Founding Fathers of Restoration magazine, print edition, March 2007.
But one of the things that I want to do for John, since he's a new young historian, is I have a handful of copies of the original article.
And Pete wrote an article that should have got him the Golden Quill called The Four Faces on Mount Restoration.
The March 2007 convention issue for what was then known as ASCR, the year we rebranded to RAA, of the Founding Fathers article that I wrote.
And so how the frig does John Atkinson, the DYOJO Podcast, the Intentional Restorer, have a copy of this magazine, this in print?
That was the cover story in the feature article. Founding Father number 1, Marty King. Founding Father number 2 was Lloyd Weaver. Founding Father number 3 is Cliff Slotnick. And Founding Father number 4 is Cliff Blackburn.
I think Pete said he's only got a few of these, and I wonder how many of y'all have one floating around, but encourage you to dig into restoration history, check out this article.
I wrote this when I was on vacation in Dominican Republic in December of 2006. I don't know what came of me, to be quite honest with you, to write it. It was just before the 60th anniversary of our association. And I kind of tracked some history and where we were at, and then I kind of challenged the industry to see where would we be in 10 years, 20 years, whatever. And look back.
We recently did a podcast with Cliff We've done one with Claude Blackburn, John Downey, and other people that have contributed to history and helping us chase down pieces of history.
And I need to write part 2 of the article. I've already got the name of it. I've been trying to write it for about 5 years, but the timing wasn't right. But I think maybe now it's coming into focus. And hopefully this year, maybe next year, I'll get it done. And the title of the article is going to be Restoration's Golden Age, or maybe the Golden Age of Restoration, one of those two. And I guess the question is, that will lead me to whether I want to write it or not, is I don't know whether the Golden Age is past, whether we're in it, or whether it's before us. And so it has to become clear in my mind before I can sit down and write it anyway.
I'll show you how I came to be in possession of said item.
Okay, so John, I'm going to present this to you as the historical legacy. Entrusting this to you as the Grand Poobah of the DYOJO Nation. Here you go.
Thank you, Pete.
Special, buddy.
I do appreciate it.
Okay. It's the Global Watchdog here, Pete and Sigley on the road with the DYOJO Podcast and John Isaacson, the original intentional restorer. I'm like a ham when it comes to it. I'm like a natural, aren't I? I don't even need any prompts. Everybody says, Pete, you're like a fucking natural. I say, well, I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. All right, so let me. We're on the road, baby. Okay.
No, they
need like
fall asleep to.
content
Just
and the
play them at
guest
night, and you could just pass out.
that were really, really boring.
Well, say it to Gerrett's face.
Yeah, it was just.
This is actually, Gerrett, this is an intervention. We're all really concerned that,
We're not actually podcasting, Gerrett. It's just to give you. John's obviously been reading my reviews. Yeah. Oh, go ahead, John.
Excuse me. Can we hit the mute button on this guy? I mean, it's gone on long enough. This gone long
you
enough.
don't have that access.
You want to catch his hands?
I do.
Oh, I got somebody at the door. I'll be right back.
Oh,
John, it's your shot. Go.
That was the doorbell. Now's your chance. You got doorbell in the middle of the podcast.
At least, actually, I sent him a DoorDash just to get him away from the podcast. Jeez. I mean, the guy's dragging us down.
Did you get your DoorDash?
I guess, yeah. All good over here. Yep.
Was it beard oil?
Yeah, he's lubing up right
The
now.
whole case of it.
The
Yeah.
whole case of
Had
beard
to
oil.
sign for it. Yeah.
Jarrett's been sweating that that's going to be the next shortage, with supply and demand. Gotta get my beard oil.
John, you want to go first?
I was just
joking. I'm going to go. But we have done a couple series where I did one called The New Guys. So it was restoration contractors who have been in business less than 3 years, and talking with them about kind of how their business is, how it's grown. And that was actually a really interesting one for me because I talked to 4 people and they all had 4 different paths. They all did it a little bit differently.
We're kicking off a series of Xactimate Sessions from all different angles. Xactimate. No! Dang it!
The Xactimate Sessions! We just did another one called Young Guns, where, again, I think it's, you can always go to the top and find the best person and go interview them. I kind of wanted to go the other direction and go, I want a water tech who's been doing this 2 years or less and just killing it. And
actually, that's
again,
really interesting because you get a different perspective.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So we get these guys on, and two things with that. One, again, just highlight somebody, spotlight them for the good work that they're doing. But then two, and I think it's on the outline. We're talking about like a labor shortage and how to get and find good people and how to retain them. Well, I'm talking to these guys and I'm like, why do you like working there? Why do you like the people? Why do you like the job?
can't believe we drove around all day and there's not a single job in this town. There is nothing, nada, zip. Yeah, unless you want to work 40 hours a week.
Cool. And then we followed it up with Dr. Jessica, who basically went back through those conversations I had and was like, these are why these guys are successful. This is why this company is successful. And she broke it down to, based on culture and reviews and rewards and challenges. And it was, I think that was a really good series that we did.
Yeah, I think that particular topic Gerrett's talking about is, recruiting, hiring, and retaining good talent, which also happens to be one of my first articles in the new regime with Michelle Blevins at CNR Magazine. Have you heard the news? Well, I mean, a lot of things happen, such as the hostile takeover of CNR Magazine. We've got you on the spot, Michelle Blevins. Now, not just the publisher, editor, content creator, but the owner of CNR Magazine. How many people did you have to kill?
Oh, that is disgusting.
Murderer! No, murdering dog! It's not what you think.
Thankfully, no one. I was very fortunate in that there are some people that worked very kindly with me through this process, and I'm excited to be here.
And they're sworn to secrecy, and that's super exciting. Obviously, crazy news. CNR, like you've mentioned, is a legacy publication of the RAA. So now you independently own it, run it. It's the Michelle Blevins operation now, right? The regime, a new regime, new operation, new vision. So excited for Michelle. Excited for great things to be coming out of CNR. Excited that there's going to be an in-print version as well, just the digital version, because that's all we're good for. But you got secrets to recruiting, hiring, and retaining good talent in property restoration. Secrets. We release secrets. Part of the reason I bring that up is if you haven't listened to the Young Guns episode from the GMS podcast, and what he talks about, wrapping it up with episode 66, the employee experience, Dr. Jessica Strahl. It's just a really good recap. It's something I included in the article, something we're including in a conversation we're having with a local Washington group of restorers this month, as that's a popular topic. So encourage you to read the article, encourage you to check out what Michelle's doing at CNR, and obviously check out Gerrett's podcast, even though we're giving him a lot of crap here on this one.
I'm going to kill you later.
I let the cat out of the bag. Sorry, man.
I'll edit that out, Larry.
Yeah. I called Bruce DeLoach one night. I was in a parking lot and I was like, hey, Bruce, I have this crazy idea. I want to talk about masculinity in the trades. I said, I'm kind of getting, stagnant because we see, it feels like Larry and I are doing the same show over and over, with a different guest.
I felt that
killing
too.
Me. So, and Bruce is like, yeah, I'll come on and talk about masculinity in the trades. So, and I said to Bruce, I'm like, I think I'm going to lose my whole audience. They're going to be like, what in the world is Eric doing? What is wrong with these guys? And I was really apprehensive to do it because it was like going into huggy feely territory, right?
Oh, I see.
It's our number one listen podcast.
Can I tell you something without you getting angry? I love you. Yeah, you big guy.
Every plumber's getting a wrench thrown at him, an HVAC guy gets thrown out of a window, and carpet cleaner gets sucked up through the machine. I mean, it gets a little aggressive. But yeah, that's the
You
theme.
sucked up one of our guys in the machine?
God, I never told you that.
Must have been a small guy.
It was no call, no show. Yeah, we addressed that in the opening chapters of The Intentional Culture. About
pitch away, John. Pitch away.
Getting yelled at. I share a story about my uncle saying, "Why don't I have any screws in my hands?" And but that was a pivotal moment in it's got to be tied, obviously we have explosions or whatever, but it's got to be tied to, moving the vision and the values forward, not just because you're an asshole, right?
Yeah.
So there you have it. Just snips and pieces. We got some good news coming out. Things happening from the DYOJO, including Socktember. Articles in CNR magazine. Next week, our intentional restorer column will be dropping. We got videos out our ears. But this week, really just want to encourage you, listen to the Blue Collar Nation podcast with Eric, Sprague, and Larry Wilberton. That'll be coming out Thursday, August 5th, I believe. I think I have that right. And then the GMS podcast, Gerrett Stier is always distributing material. Eric and Larry have a morning tech meeting, which is a great daily resource for helping your team members with soft skills. A lot of employers, owners, managers want to spend more time with their teams. Maybe you don't have the time. Maybe you haven't developed resources like we have at The Chart, thedyojo.com/The Chart. But these soft skills also lead to hard cash, because when your guys and gals, your team members know how to serve the clients the right way, that perpetuates your vision, your brand with your clients, and leads to good outcomes. Gerrett's, I can't recommend it enough, the 3-part series, the Young Guns, part 1 and 2, and then episode 66 is the employee experience, his conversation with Dr. Jessica Strahl. I mean, just top-notch stuff, really relevant, helpful things. So please check those out. Please listen to the full. Hopefully we've given you enough of a teaser to whet your appetite for this. Eric called it the podcast summit. Check those podcasts out. Thank you, as always, for listening to the DYOJO Podcast, where our goal is to help you shorten your dang learning curve for personal and professional development. Our latest series, the Xactimate Sessions. We have 2 files out. In this series, Xactimate. No! We're going to discuss learning Xactimate from nothing with someone I trained, a good friend of mine, Greg Power. What you feel is like a good, solid estimate. It's very detailed against somebody that just spaghetti, right? They just took all the line items and Xactimate reviews with Chris Tilkov from Ask Amy.
You were looking at the most likely high impact items.
Xactimate from Xactimate, Brian Austin, Director of Instructional Design at Verist Xactware Division.
We did a lot of research on just what are people searching on Google around Xactimate. And then we started building expert tips on those topics.
We are going into the unknown with Xactimate. No! Xactimate and Adjusters with Matthew Allen from Adjuster TV.
So at Adjuster TV, what we try to do is we're trying to elevate our side of the industry, which I think, ultimately, like what you're doing together, we could probably try to elevate both sides of things.
Xactimate for mitigation with Nick Sharp from REITs. Are you there? I think most of that cut out.
Dang it!
Xactimate customization with Ben Justinson, Enlightened Restoration Solutions. I'm here after day 1 with Ben, Enlightened Restoration Solutions. He won't let me approach the podium because you can't see it on the floor, but there's a tape, no one approaches Ben zone. And then also Xactimate for managers, discussing how you train and disseminate that information with Joyce Gabriel. So,
we're going to start from, either the top down or the bottom up. If we're talking subfloor, underlayment, vinyl, baseboard, walls, insulation. And I'll ask them a question rather than telling them, what's behind that wall?
Series of series on Xactimate from the DYOJO.
What we uncovered.
Xactimate
Sessions.
No! And we're working on that as we speak, turning that into a book or a primer of sorts to accompany that. So great stuff. Keep doing good things. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next week.
This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.